And welcome to another Mark Bishop Show. Well, 15 years ago, my guest won the world's largest body transformation contest for regular people. It's called the Body for Life Transformation Challenge, to bring back memories. Well, since then, as a 5-time best-selling author and fitness personality, Joel Marion has appeared on all of the television networks. He's a frequent guest on SIRIUS satellite radio and has been featured in the pages of more than 20 popular national newsstand magazines. And these include Men's Fitness, Women's Day, MaximumFitness, Oxygen, Clean Eating, Muscle Mag International, and Muscle and Fitness hers. So I think it would be fair to say that when it comes to achieving your best body and the results you truly deserve, rest assured you couldn't possibly be in better hands. My special guest, ladies and gentlemen, is Joel Marion, BioTRUST co-founder and extraordinaire. Welcome, Joel.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Well, conventional diet wisdom tells us that we should avoid carbs, have an early dinner, and never eat before bedtime. We're all told this. But the fact is, the latest scientific research just doesn't bear this out. Now, in fact, you as a best-selling author, Joel Marion, you teach us how to still enjoy the simple pleasure of sweet and salty past dinner time without gaining weight. This I want to hear. Joel, you got to be kidding me, mate.
Yeah, we've all been fed a lie, including myself. I was programmed to believe through my certifications and textbook education that, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and there's just no evidence to support that. We could talk a little bit more about that, and that the calories that you eat late at night are no different than the calories you eat early in the day. The metabolism is fully functional. The digestive tract is fully functional, and they've done side-by-side research studies where there's absolutely no difference in weight loss from people who eat their calories early in the day versus calories later in the day, with all things being equal calorie and macronutrient wise. And then a couple groundbreaking studies even show that eating carbs at dinner time, late night carb eaters not only lose more weight, they regulate their cortisol cycle and sleep better because they release more melatonin and serotonin. So there is all kinds of research to back up this pattern of eating that really caters to our natural instinct. And I cite over 90 studies in my book showing exactly why this pattern of eating is truly like a lifestyle rather than a diet, but you can still burn fat faster.
Wow. So you're saying you can enjoy social dinners, dining out without restriction, really, and satisfy nightmare hunger with fat-burning, sweet and salty bedtime snacks. With straightforward food lists and easy-to-follow meal plans, you do recommend that. It can be enjoyable to lose weight, especially without feeling restricted. But I guess in the end, it's every dieter's dream. Now, in this book of yours, Always Eat After 7 p.m., man, even the heading can make me stop and look. The revolutionary rule-breaking diet that lets you enjoy huge dinners, desserts, and indulgent snacks. It sounds like you wrote this thing for me, mate, I got to tell you, while burning fat overnight, because I've just come off a big, heavy keto diet, and I can't go without breakfast, and other things are just too hard for me. So I'm looking forward to this book. Now, you're a fitness expert, you're a nutritionist, best-selling author, but you do debunk the myth underlying traditional dieting, offer a simple, highly effective weight loss program. What encouraged you to do this particular book, Joel?
Actually, it was my own personal weight loss struggle when I started building BioTRUST Nutrition 10 years ago. It led to long work hours, late nights, and I was so committed to building the brand that I started making unhealthy food choices. And the next thing you know, I woke up 18 months later and I had built an amazing company, but at a very high cost, 46 pounds heavier. And so that became the inspiration for the book, because I simply did not want to go back to a restrictive diet. And I think that's what makes Always Eat After 7 p.m. different than other diets like keto or paleo, is that you're not eliminating entire food groups.
Right.
And so you're not creating deficiencies. You don't have to worry as much about supplementation when you're including all food groups. You're not limiting your choices, and you're not suppressing your hormones. So when you eliminate carbohydrates for extended periods of time, you lower your leptin and your thyroid hormones. These two hormones regulate your body weight and control the speed of your metabolism. So it's super important that you strategically add carbs back into your diet. And inside my book, we use something called super carbs. And the glucose from these super carbs are actually building blocks of thyroid and leptin hormones. So they prevent metabolic slowdown and actually help boost your fat burning hormones.
Ah, good. You sound like a doctor, mate, honestly. But the layman can understand all of this in the book, right?
You know what? We've made it very simple and straightforward, very easy to understand. We don't get into a bunch of scientific jargon. We cite the studies, put the references in the back of the book. And it truly, I mean, if you think about the way that we are wired, I mean, there's some people that absolutely have to have breakfast. And that's okay. We have breakfast snacks inside the book. Now, but we slowly wean people off. If you're a healthy dieter and you don't have to take medication or you don't have blood sugar issues, we'll wean you off breakfast and have you use a form of intermittent fasting. And this allows you to eat the majority of these calories later in the day. And it actually caters to our natural instinct of eating. You know, we fight it at night when we're hungry. We either white knuckle our way through it and starve our way, to bed, or we cave and then we feel guilty because we're eating what we think we shouldn't be eating. In reality, it's just about making smart choices. You can eat the majority of your calories when you are hungry at night, and it can actually help you get better results.
All right, so let me understand this. For the last several decades, doctors and health professionals across the globe, they've touted that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I mean, even my grandma brought me up on that. But you tell us why the scientific research inside your new book definitely shows otherwise.
Yeah, in fact, I cite several research studies. I have an entire chapter dedicated to the truth about breakfast with all the 5 breakfast myths. And it's not that breakfast is bad, it just has no magical powers. You shouldn't feel bad if you'd rather skip it. And you shouldn't listen to those who lecture you because the science points in the opposite direction. And the first myth is that it's the most important meal of the day. It's simply not, and the science shows that breakfast eaters do not lose more weight. They've done studies, multiple studies on this. American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, they researched over 300 overweight and obese but otherwise healthy adults ages 20 to 65. So a really broad age category, right? And after tracking their weight for 16 weeks, the scientists found that those who ate breakfast didn't lose any more weight than those who skipped it, right? So, and breakfast doesn't necessarily increase your metabolism or reduce hunger later in the day. In fact, if you make the wrong choices at breakfast, you're going to be hungry later in the day.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my next question to you, Joel. What do you recommend then if you don't have a heavy breakfast? I mean, cereal is supposedly not good for us in some ways. I mean, I love my coffee, but I do have it with cream. I don't have milk with it. But, what do you recommend then for somebody who's got to start with something of a morning?
Well, we have recipes in the book that we have these breakfast snack recipes like Instant Pot egg white bites and bacon and caramelized onion egg muffins.
Oh, okay.
We call these breakfasts. And then we have a whole list of other snacks that you can just put together. Like, an example would be 3 hard-boiled eggs with sea salt, black pepper to taste, and maybe a handful of berries on the side. That would be a light breakfast that would feed your neurotransmitters, right? And keep your body in a fat-burning environment, making sure you don't get tired later in the day from the blood sugar spike. And then, you're still kind of mimicking the effects of intermittent fasting without actually fasting.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking with Joel Marion, the co-founder of BioTRUST. No doubt sometime you've probably ordered something in a product. I have quite a few of the various things. But this new book coming out is going to be fascinating. It's called Always Eat After 7 p.m., the revolutionary rule-breaking diet that lets you enjoy huge dinners, get this, desserts and indulgent snacks while burning fat overnight. And you don't have to gobble down that vinegar stuff with lemon either to do that. Now, it's been drilled into our heads that eating late at night, leads to obesity and excess belly fat. Can you elaborate on the science showing that is just a myth?
Well, referring back to the research study that I talked about earlier, when they've done research on this, there's no difference between those who eat early and late. And in fact, the carb eaters, the people who eat their carbs later in the day versus early in the day, actually lose more weight. And the whole theory about this, too, is about your digestive tract. Like, okay, as the day goes on, the metabolism slows down. And so you want to taper back on your calories, especially carbohydrates, because they're more likely to spill over and be stored as fat later in the day when the metabolism is running slower. And this is a complete myth. Your metabolism is running the same way in the morning as it is at night. The science proves this. Your digestive tract is fully functional and intact. It can work. So, and the very act of eating the right foods, like, for example, pre-bedtime snackers, when they make the right food choices, they eat 397 calories less per day than people who skip that meal before bed. And in fact, if you eat a high protein snack before bed, you increase your metabolic rates to something called TEF. the thermic effect of food. And when your body digests protein, it burns double the calories than it would when it digests fats or carbohydrates. By having a high protein snack before bed, you have more stabilized blood sugar when you wake up. You gain more lean muscle tissue. Research shows that 20 to 40 grams of protein before bed increases muscle protein synthesis. And then at the same time, you're releasing a small amount of insulin, and this is going to help you release that serotonin and melatonin for deeper sleep.
Wow. That's another thing, right? More restful sleep, deeper sleep. So late night eating, it doesn't necessarily slow down your metabolism or interfere with the digestion. There's another one. One of the most common diet recommendations, Joel, is to avoid eating carbs, especially after 7 p.m. This one's been heavy because they pack on the pounds, apparently. Now, your book uncovers science that turned this on its head. Can you elaborate on that one?
Yes, and it just goes back to strategic combinations again. So, and choices, right? Like eating carbs when they're healthy carbs. You're thinking here like sweet potatoes, quinoa, oats.
Mm-hmm.
You got, even white rice is pure glucose. Remember, glucose is that building block of leptin and thyroid hormones. These are the two hormones that regulate your body weight and control the speed of your metabolism. So by avoiding and eliminating carbs, it only takes 1 week before both these hormones decline up to 50%. So it's very important that you strategically add them in your plan, but you have to make the right choices. You have to time them properly, and you have to combine them with other foods the right way. And that's really the formula that I share in my book. We typically will use like a fist-sized portion of a starchy carbohydrate, like a potato.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but if you put that next to like spaghetti squash, well, you could have 3 or 4 cups of that spaghetti squash and get the same calories as a potato. So both are healthy choices, but if you want to eat more, you opt for the squash and you can have 3 times the amount. And this is something in the book that we call portion volumization with super carbs. And these super carbs is what's responsible for not only regulating your cortisol cycle, inducing that deep sleep, like I mentioned as well, it's the building block of these hormones that control our metabolism and our weight loss.
Well, there you go. And it's all in the book and easy to follow. And I understand about the spaghetti squash. My wife's been cooking that in the keto diet. Very nice. But I'm a Prieties guy. I love my spuds, and I've missed them terribly, carbs. And I stopped drinking beer. But I tell you what, out of left field, what's the experience with getting rid of a bit of a gut? A little bit of belly fat. If you can't get the time to go to a gym, and if you don't get the time to be walking around the block 60 times, what's another way of being able to get rid of that?
Well, I think, this is one reason in the acceleration phase of my book that we manipulate carbs. And this is why keto and paleo work so well when you initially start them, because when you cut carbs from your diet, you're eliminating a lot of water out of your diet. For every gram of carb you consume, your body holds almost 3 grams of water. So when you cut out carbs, you're going to lose some fat and you're going to lose a lot of water. And so that's one of the easiest ways, just to manipulate your carbs for a week or so. Like, during the week, maybe go lower carb, and then during the weekends, go ahead and have carbs. And you'll see that your belly will get a little flatter and firmer because you're not holding as much water. And then to piggyback on that, just drink more water. I mean, the more water you consume, the less your body holds on to. And a lot of people who feel bloated, or they feel like they're retaining water, it's really just because you don't have enough water in your system. Most people think, oh, I'm bloated, I don't want to drink more water. Well, no, you need more water because then your body will hold on to less of it.
Well, there you go. Well, that's another popular one, but that is true. Listen, this new innovative diet book will be available when? When's it coming out, Joel?
It's available. You can get it at joelmarion.com. That's JoelMarion.com. And then it is in bookstores. So as they slowly reopen here in the United States, it'll be available there as well.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, the best way for you to get more information, have a good read, it's a good site, www.joelmarion.com. That's Joel Marion, Marion, joelmarion.com. Get onto that, have a good read in your podgies, pajamas, whatever. But the book, always eat after 7 p.m. The revolutionary rule-breaking diet that lets you enjoy huge dinners, desserts, and indulgent snacks, all while burning fat overnight. Yay, it's arrived, finally. Hey, Joel, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for bringing this one out, and I hope it's a big seller for you.
Excellent interview. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Bye-bye now.